Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another PMP Q&A session. Our today's topic is managing project artifacts. This is one of the topics under processes domain. So let me just share my screen and then we'll start. All right. So let's start. Question number 1. All right. Marta, you have chosen option C.
I chose option C because the project has shifted from a predictive to an agile methodology. And what they are contemplating is whether the product backlog, user story, and increments should be considered as project artifacts. From my poor knowledge, I understand that the artifacts, these are not the artifacts, but this is how they will manage the workflow in Agile. So it will be transformed into Agile product, but I don't think it's an artifact.
All right. Thank you. Robin, you have chosen option C. Could you please define what is artifact?
An artifact is a, how do I put it into words? It's a creation of I'm just lost for words at the moment, but it's more of how can I say, the reason why I chose C is because C is backlog, user stories, and increments. Those are specific to that project, and they. I'm lost for words at the moment,
It's
but
okay,
they.
no problem. I'll ask you again. No problem.
Okay.
Okay, so Francis, you have chosen option B.
I've chosen option B because I think in Agile we still have artifacts, I think, especially in Scrum. So since we are moving from predictive to Agile, we still use this one as artifacts. But instead of using them as documents, we use them as information instead, but they're still artifacts.
All right, thank you. Lala, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, so in Agile, there are artifacts like an information, like a documents, right? So backlog increment and user stories are the artifacts, that information that the product owner or the stakeholders or the project manager uses it. So without not having one, how they would actually work. So that's the information that's like a document.
All right, correct. So anything that you produce during the life of the project, that is called an artifact. It could be a document, it could be any outcome, right? Any output, uh, product backlog. It's a document where you store all the user stories, right? User stories itself you produce. So all of these are called project artifacts. The correct option is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right. Next question. All right, Alan, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, I discard, for example, D because it includes project documents. So if we have like a quick change, like a quick update in, for example, stakeholder register, it's not necessarily like update or submit a change request. So if we need to change the baseline, something that modify the the cost, time, and yeah, something like that. We need to submit a change request. That is an effective situation.
All right,
I
thank you.
think you're
Lala, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, actually, I was between A and D in this because we can submit a change request for project baseline and project management plan. If there's a change, we can submit a change request. So I went with D in this one because A, my other option would be A. If we have a change in a baseline, we would submit one change request, but then you can have a change in the other component of the project management plan. So that's when you submit a change request.
All right. So you have chosen option D, means we need a change request when we need to change baseline, when we need to change project management plan or any of its component, or when we need to change project documents.
Yeah. Yeah. And any of the things that we change, we have to submit a change request. We
All
can
right.
just go ahead and change ourselves, right?
If you all recall, we solved a question in the stakeholders section, I guess, where there was a change in stakeholders community and new information was needed to be updated in the stakeholder register. And we discussed that in order to update stakeholder register, you don't need any change request. Change request is required when you need to change project baselines or any of the components of the product management plan. You don't need change request when you need to change any project document. So there's a difference between plan and documents, right? So for example, we have three baselines: scope baseline, cost baseline, schedule baseline. And we have some plans like we have discussed in the course: scope management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan. So these 9 or 10 subsidiary plans, then other components like governance plan, change management plan, configuration management plan. So whenever you need to update or upgrade baseline and any of the component of the project management plan, you need a change request. But you don't need any change request when you are updating a document. Adding a new stakeholder to the stakeholder register does not require any change request, right? Uh, Adding a new risk to the risk register does not require any change request. So correct answer is option C, when you need to change a baseline and one or more components of the product management plan only, right? So D is not correct. We do not need a change request while updating documents. Correct answer is option C. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. Okay, Daniela, you have chosen option C.
Yes, the reason is in the question, there is a talk of ensuring that any alterations to documents are properly reviewed, approved, and documented. So to me, this is version control.
All right, thank you. Marta, you have chosen option D.
I chose option D because I understand that the focus on maintaining the integrity of the project baseline by controlling changes to the project artifacts, such as specifications, design documents, and plans, are part of the integration management process.
All right, but Marta, integration is more like consolidating all the plans together, making sure that they are aligned with each other. There are no conflicts. There is no conflicting information in these documents, right? They're well aligned and information is correct, information is complete. That is integration management. When all the plans are developed by relevant managers, then project manager integrates all the plans together to make sure that all the plans are aligned with each other and there is no conflicting information. That consolidation is called integration. But the question statement says something else. Okay, thank you. Mohan, you have chosen option B.
Right. So basically, like the project artifacts, like in this question, as they're saying, specification, design documents, and plans are being they're controlling the changes to that, and by definition, that's configuration management, right? So where you have version controls that need to be changed once there's change control is approved.
So what is your answer? Configuration or version control?
B, configuration management.
Absolutely. So whatever is happening here, whenever you want to manage a change in a document, that is called configuration management. Whenever you change project scope or project schedule or project cost, that is called change management. If you change the scope of the project, that is called change management. As a result of that, if you need to update any of the documents, that is called configuration management. So what's happening here, if you read it, it says a project manager is focusing on maintaining the integrity of the project baseline by controlling changes to project artifacts. So changes to artifacts are handled under configuration management, right? So B is the right answer. There's a comment in chat window. What's the difference between B and C? Version control is one of the components of configuration management. And version control we discussed in the previous session, like version control, making sure that all the team members, they have the right version. So after you update the document, then you ensure that all the team members have right version or latest version. So version control is one of the components of configuration management. Whatever is happening in the statement, that is a complete process. That is called configuration management. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Daniela, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I took it by elimination. I don't believe it's relevant here. Document review and approval seems to me cumbersome in this environment. So if for every change a team member wants to do, you need a review and an approval, that's gonna take a long time. So it's not really agile. Training sessions for the team, I don't think they would really resolve the issue. So I would leverage the built-in version control. So every time when somebody makes a change, well, the version control will take care to identify which one is the latest version, which one is the latest document. And well, everybody should use the cloud-based storage platform.
All right, thank you. Mohan, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on the question, right, it says that the team members frequently download documents for editing, leading to confusion. So I'm assuming that that's based on the practice here that they would be doing that moving forward. So I thought that the best option here would be just to conduct a training session on the best practices once they download the file, and how to basically manage the file, etc. So that's why I picked C.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Richard, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, so the question says that the team members are downloading things and editing them, and they're editing them on their own machines. And so, like, if two people are working on the same document, but they're both editing it and they're not collaborating, that means they don't know what's what.
Yeah.
So then I kind of went through eliminating stuff. But that document name convention, I don't know. And then I didn't think that helped the situation because it asked for the single most important action. So the first thing you got to do is kind of stop everybody from taking their files. So I kind of went with D because that's kind of what we do. We give people permission in order for them to edit documentation so that this confusion does not happen. So that's kind of what we do as a best practice in our organization. The document review and approval process, that will take forever, but I mean, it would be effective. Ultimately, that would, if you do permissions, and then that's like step 2 is going through document review, because you'll be compiling stuff, and then ultimately there's just one master document that you edit and put back out. Training sessions on managing their files, that to me just said that was just how do you manage files. It doesn't say anything about how to not edit stuff. So like I said, that's why I kind of led it on option D.
All right, thank you. So yes, correct answer is option D. The problem with option C is that it does not address the problem which is mentioned in the statement. So you are actually reinforcing the source of the problem. So what's the source of the problem? People, they are not using the cloud-based system. They download file in their machines. And as a result of that, due to different versions, it results into wasted efforts as written due to outdated changes and difficulty tracking the project overall progress. So option C actually reinforces that. Okay, continue doing that, whatever you're doing, and we can train you how to do that in a better way. So if you have a cloud-based system, right, that has some strengths, so leverage those strengths to make sure that there is no such wasted efforts in terms of duplication or outdated changes. Correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Marta, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I chose option A, because there is delays, and they're not able to manage the documentation, right? So option A provides the information that they should implement comprehensive documentation management system with version control to ensure that all documents are updated and consistent so that they don't get these delays in place.
All right. Marta, version control, what is version control? Version control is, for example, you have version 1, let's suppose. So when you update, you will be having version 2 of the same document. So version controlling is ensuring that now all the team members or relevant stakeholders, they have the latest and updated version. They're not working on the old version, right? That is called version controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? how version control would help solve the duplication problem or conflicting information problem. You understand that? For example, as I mentioned, there's a document A, you had version 1 and now you have version 2. We're not talking about there is a problem of versioning here. The problem is it is not consistent with any other document, that is document B. So problem is between A and B, not between different versions of one document.
Understood.
There's a conflicting information between these two documents. Now, how we would be handling that? So version control is not helpful in this situation.
Okay.
All right, good try. Robin, you have chosen option B.
Yes, what I considered there is that the problem is we've got a project scope and we've got architectural plans which are producing conflicts. So we need to work out a plan to identify and deal with these conflicts. So that's why item B, if you've got a review team to verify the alignment of the project documents regularly, that should take care of the problem.
All right, thank you. You know what's happening here? It's a very tricky question, and I understand that. Option B says establish a cross-functional review team to oversee and verify the alignment. Means you have a separate team, an additional team, a dedicated team for documentation alignment. You understand, everybody? So we don't do that. So if I'm creating document, I have the right information. I exactly know what I have added, what I have not added, what has been changed. So I'm the best person to see if my document is updated or not. And I can provide the right information. By just adding a layer of management would not solve the problem. So if the person who is developing the document, if they are trained or if they are involved in the process, then it would be more efficient rather than somebody else, a third party is doing that review. It will take a lot of time. It will create unnecessary effort, and there could be miscommunication as well. So for example, I have created my document would go to somebody else. They would review that. It's time consuming and it's less effective. So establishing a separate cross-functional team just for review purposes is not helpful. Yes, for audit purposes, you can conduct audit once in a year. That makes sense. But establishing a team that is there just for documentation purpose, that would not solve the problem. Manmeet, you have chosen option D.
The only reason why I picked D, because to my understanding, integration is all about coordination to improve the efficiency between the development team and the overall project. So this is the only option I felt is coming up with the solution of the problem, that there is a problem between there's no coordination of the information in between project scope document, the architectural plan. So if we have the integration meetings regularly, then document discrepancies can be addressed and resolved collaboratively. That's what I think.
Absolutely. As we discussed earlier, what is integration management? Integration is consolidating all the documents and making sure that there is no conflicting information between or among various documents. That's what we call integration management, right? So regularly reviewing discrepancies among documents and addressing them would handle the situation. Correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation.
You mean D.
There could be a typo. Yeah, thank you. So this would be D. Explanation is right. All right, next question. All right. Felicity, you have chosen option A.
I know it's not an option, but I want to say from a IT security perspective, it should be A and B, actually. It should be role-based and there should be two-factor on the system if security is important. So I between the two, between A and B, I landed on A as the answer because it specifically talks about balancing security with the need for accessibility. So I was like, well, role-based access, I guess, is considered to be the more important thing here.
All right. Thank you. Lela, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, so I thought implement the two-factor authentication system would be kind of security-wise would be secure that you're going through two steps, and then also would be easy accessible. So to be honest, C, I had no idea what is that. Utilize version controls, VCS. And it did not make sense with geographically dispersed servers to minimize. So this, I don't think it really made a sense, the question. So I was between A, B, and D. So if you create a separate repository for all these artifacts, it's just too much time consuming. So it was between A and B, but I think B would make more sense.
All right. Thank you. Jashri, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I selected the fourth one, D, creating separate secure repositories for each critical artifact type, granting access on a need-to-know basis. So it takes care of the data breach, not impacting the significant financial and reputational consequences, as well as the versions are maintained, is what if you are considering the need to know the reason for why they have to access with each user and then give the access, it will be more relevant.
All right. So you're saying it's need to know basis. So you will only be issuing documents to those who are in need of those documents. So that would have better control.
Yes, yes.
All right. Manmeet, you have chosen option D.
Same reason as Jashri mentioned. If we have a separate secure repository and somebody is in need, they should know why they need it, and then we give the access to them because security is the top priority.
Yeah, security is the top priority. So you have a need to know basis system, but why separate repositories?
Uh, that will help. That it's not an easy accessible thing. If we have a separate repository, everyone in their head will be aware that that's something very secure and nobody can have an easy access. So separate repository really helps the breaching issue.
All right. What is meant by separate repositories, Manmeet?
Separate repository means like a separate storage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Means,
yeah.
Okay. Correct answer is option D. So what we do is when we have security as top priority, so rather than storing everything at single location or at one location, we bifurcate that, we segregate that. We create multiple accounts to make sure that if one account is targeted, we have information secured in other accounts. So creating separate secure repositories for each critical artifact type, and in addition to that, granting access on need basis would help solve the security problem, right? Correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Daniela, you have chosen option C. Daniela, am I audible? You have chosen option C.
Sorry, yes. Sorry, I have chosen option C because that is the option where which allows the document categorization. So the issue here is everything is dumped in one place and it's difficult to find documents because you don't know, you can't differentiate easily type of documents basically. And option C was the only one allowing you to categorize the documents, which I believe is the problem here.
All right, so you're saying the problem is it's difficult to find, and option C addresses that problem. Okay, thank you. Robin, you have chosen option C.
Yes, my consideration there is that it's difficult to find these documents because we haven't got a direction to go, an organized direction maybe is the better term there. And if we've got a dedicated platform with a categorized capability, that would mean that the documents would be organized in a fashion that we could find them better. So that would improve the efficiency.
All right, absolutely. So the problem here is of searchability. It's not easy to find the document. As Robin mentioned, they are placed on a single cloud folder, leading to difficulties finding specific documents. So if we have some categorization, so that would help in searchability. Correct answer is option C. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Marta, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I chose option B because there is inconsistency in the version control. And I thought that implementing an improved version control system with automated update alerts would help, would diminish the issue.
All right, thank you. Richard, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I read the question wrong. Because it says what's the first step to ensure the artifacts are up to date and accessible. And option D does not answer that question. It just had that. I kind of breezed through it, and I thought they were acting for a corrective measure, which would have been D, but they weren't. So I guess I probably would have picked option B as well as Marta if I'd read it correctly. But I don't believe that option D is the correct answer because audit would be what you would want to do to correct what's already screwed up. But the question is asking, what is the first step to ensure that the artifacts are up to date and accessible to the stakeholders? And I believe that it would be a better answer.
B would be a better option, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the first action is implement an improved version control system. Okay. So for example, you're saying whenever you have a problem and you want to resolve that problem, so what you do is implement an improved version or do whatever you're doing in the best possible manner. Don't you think it's a generic answer? It's not the first step. It directly jumps to the solution, no? The question is about what's the first step to ensure. What would be the last step, Richard, or what would be the second step?
So I believe the first thing you'd have to do would be to
I think this is the last step. If the question says, what is your last step to ensure the artifacts are up to date? So implement an improved version, but on which basis you will be implementing an improved version? What would be that improved version control system? So you would be doing the analysis. Based on the analysis, you would be finding the deficiencies, and then you will be designing something new. Then you will be implementing that. Does it make sense, Richard?
Yes.
All right, good. Robin, you have chosen option D.
Yes. My understanding of the question is version control is tracking the changes and updates, and we've got inconsistencies there. So what we need to do is audit what we're doing to find what we're doing wrong, and then to correct the inefficiencies.
All right. So you're saying first we need to understand what's wrong with the process or what we are doing which is not working, and then we need to design something to address that. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Alan, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I'm in the same way. I actually have a problem with that in my work. We were updating like engineering changes, but we tried uh, to do better to share the information with my team, but we didn't know that our system were wrong because didn't notify to my other peers that the change of the product it's released. So yeah, we need to understand what is wrong before share the information. So my case was that my system doesn't work great.
All right, correct. So you have noticed some inconsistencies. So first of all, you need to understand those inconsistencies. What are those inconsistencies? And for that, audit is the best way. So in order to improve process, what we do, we conduct audit to understand what are the deficiencies, and then accordingly, we design the right solution. Correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. So audit allows the PM to understand the underlying reasons or issues in the existing processes, right? So that you have targeted corrective action plan. Next question.
Sorry, Amar, in that question, so that there was a deficiency in the process, correct?
Yeah, I mean, overall, there was a problem, whether it is in the process or result of the process. So there were inconsistencies. So first of all, you need to understand inconsistencies. And for understanding, you conduct audit. Next question. All right. Felicity, you have chosen option C.
Yes, not with any kind of great confidence, but yes. D I scratched off because I don't see that reviewing the risk management plan is helpful. Um,
Okay.
I guess I didn't, when I was reading the question, I always have the constant problem that when I'm reading the answers, I feel like it's like a mixture of them, so I don't really know what's the best answer of the ones that are given. Like, I mean, I chose C, but even I'm looking at it, I'm like, probably the lead developer should be the one filling that out, not necessarily delegating. Should the documentation have been stored somewhere? Yes. I don't know that the guidelines should have been updated, so I think I'd probably scratch off A, but yeah, like between B and C, I don't know. I just threw C down, I guess.
All right. Thank you. Lela, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, regularly update the software development guidelines, securely communicate them to all relevant team members. I think that would kind of solve the issue here that they recently had a code deployed, but it was outdated. So if you regularly update it, I think that would solve the problem here.
All
Like
right.
C, I don't think you should designate a separate team member to manage the log, so that I don't
So
think that
whenever
made
you
a
see
sense.
a question, whenever you see an option where you designate somebody to do that task independently or in isolation or adding an extra layer, so think about that option, right? Most of the time that option is not correct. PMIism is more like collaboration, is more like collectivism, is more like working together, right? So whenever you designate a task that is relevant to everybody and one person is doing that, right? So think about that. Not all the tasks are like that where you can designate, right? So option C is not relevant. We do not designate a team member to regularly update and manage all deployment log. It's the collective job of all the team members. Whoever is writing the code, whoever is developing the piece of software, it's their job to keep the log updated, right? Because the third person, they're not aware like how much work has been done. So it's adding an extra layer that brings inefficiency in the system. Right. So the problem here is what's happening. The most recent code deployment log was outdated. But option A is completely irrelevant. It says updated the software development guidelines. There is nothing wrong with software development. The problem is with documentation, right? So we're not talking about like the software is not being developed in the right manner. The problem is with how to maintain record and log for that document, right? So option A is not correct here. Correct answer is option B. Store documentation in a project management information system accessible to authorized team member. So PMIs, you will see this in your exam. PMIs is not just a simple, a log or something like that. Any automated tool that you use to manage information, to create, distribute, disseminate, retrieve, that is called PMIs. It could be anything, right? So for example, Primavera is a PMIS, Microsoft project is a PMIS, any customized solution that is PMIS, anything that you develop. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Mohan, you have chosen option C.
I thought I was right. Um, I mean, the next step after the lessons learned register is basically to, archive it in the repository. So I thought that would be the the logical next step.
All right. So you're saying we have already done this question, right? In the, I think, knowledge transfer session or somewhere we did that. Okay. But you're saying the next step is archive the lessons learned register. Okay. So Mohan, what you are saying is, you're saying we develop lessons learned register, right? And then you're saying something relevant to repository, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is, that is not archiving actually. So what we do is we develop lessons learned register for the current project. We list down all the lessons learned for the current project. And then we move these lessons to a central data repository where all the lessons learned of previous projects are accessible. So this is not archiving. Archiving is a simple task, like you just store it in somewhere, right? It's a storage. But moving lessons learned from current project to the repository means to a master data repository where they are accessible to all the team members. That's the concept of moving to lessons learned repository. It's not a physical space where you just store it. It's an automated system where you transition your lessons learned or move your lessons learned so that they could be retrieved easily by any relevant person for any of the project, right? So that is the concept of lessons learned repository. That is not simply archiving. Okay, so Lela, you have chosen C. So if you like to explain why.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and that Mohan was thinking that I guess it's archiving. I was thinking it's like a repository where you store it. But now I understand after your explanation. So the next thing would be, I think, if I would have a second choice, that I would go with A, I guess.
All right, why A?
Integrate them to organize. It's like a process asset, right? So OPAs. Then I would kind of put those lessons learned, with all that was documented. Then I would put into the organization process assets.
All right, thank you. Robin, you have chosen option A.
Yes, what I considered, the OPAs are very important to the company. That's and what we're talking about here is the failures and the benefits that have come out of the project that we're doing. It's the lessons learned. So if I wanted to look for those, I would go to the OPA.
All right, thank you. So you're saying lessons learned are important for the organization, so they should be integrated with OPAs, right?
Yes.
Richard, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I chose option A because, I mean, just archiving the lessons learned without spreading that knowledge, like it's the whole purpose of going through a project and comprehending what you've learned throughout the project so you can incorporate it down further. Just holding on to that information and putting it away does no good, because you're the only person that has that knowledge. You should be able to share that knowledge and give it to people so they can start developing it in further projects. So I decided to go integrated into OPAs.
Absolutely. So correct answer is option A. What we do is we add them to the lessons learned repository, and lesson learned repository is part of organizational process assets. So OPAs are organizational policies, procedures, and knowledge repositories. And one of the knowledge repositories is lessons learned repository. So we integrate lessons learned register of current project with the existing repository. Correct answer is option A. Let's read the explanation. So as Richard mentioned, archiving the document would render these lessons inaccessible. So we don't do that, right? We share the knowledge, we make it accessible whenever it is needed. Any relevant person can access those. All right, so we're done with our today's session. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned a lot. This is a slightly difficult topic. Why it is difficult topic? Because there is not much data about it, right? If you read the PMBOK guide or any of the book, they don't talk much about this topic. And also it is difficult because different organizations do this differently. They have their own data management system. They have their customized solution. So maybe there was a comment, I think it was by Richard. He was saying, we do this thing differently. So yes, there might be chances. This topic won't be a problem in the exam. You can expect 2 to 3 questions, but since we are covering 100% of the course, so we have to cover it. But you need not to be worried about this topic. You need to understand what is configuration management, what is change management, what is version control, what are the steps that we follow, what are the repositories, how documents are updated. So some basic understanding is sufficient to handle exam questions, right? There is a comment. Let me just read. All right. Lela, you want to say something?
I wanted to just ask you, can you repeat what you said about the configuration management and integration management before in that question? Like, I'm having a hard time like differentiating them, like exactly.
All right.
Integration is like a glue, right? All these other
Yeah.
project management, you put it together. It's like a glue, right?
Correct.
But what is the configuration?
Configuration management. So for example, there is a new change request. Customer has requested a change request, a change in scope, right? There is an addition in the scope or reduction in the scope, whatever. Due to that addition of the scope, you need to update scope baseline. You need to update your schedule. You need to update your cost. Now that updation to these documents is done under configuration management. So managing changes to documents is called configuration management. You understand? So making sure that all the documents are updated and right versions have been issued, old versions have been collected back. This is called configuration management, right? So you have added the scope, but as a result of adding that scope, you have to update multiple documents. So ensuring those documents are updated and right versions have been issued, old versions are collected, right information is being shared with the people. That is called configuration management. You understand?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, and there were a couple of comments in the chat. I was looking dull. So actually I was sleeping just before the session. So thank God I got up on time. Otherwise, we would have missed.
I thought you were mad at us that we were getting so many wrongs.
I would never be mad at you. I really enjoy, I like the energy and passion and commitment you guys are showing. So thank you so much for joining. And, this is really helpful, not for you, but for anyone who would be watching these sessions. So you are an agent for a lot of people who are passively learning. So I receive messages, a lot of messages like, I passed exam, I watched your video on YouTube. So a lot of people are getting benefit from this, and this is possible because you guys join, right? So just join. You answer right or wrong, that's not a problem. I was telling, I think, to someone like, I enjoy when you answer wrong. Just kidding, right? Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Amar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.